Hello, everyone. Today we are presenting on Nelson Makamo, and this presentation is done by Lori, Charleston, and I, Luz.
Nelson Makamo is a Johannesburg-based artist. He was born in 1982 in a town called Modimolle in South Africa's Limpopo province. He is known for his vibrant portraits set in African urbanized landscapes. He is a celebrated young South African artist, and he strives to capture everyday people going about their ordinary lives as the contemporary world accelerates around them. He has 16 years experience. He has exhibited in groups and in solo exhibitions in South Africa, Europe, and the USA. And he is known for using a variety of expressive mediums, such as acrylic print, watercolor, and charcoal drawings to create candid portraits of children. In 2019, Time magazine featured him as an artist representing optimism. Here we have an art gallery of some of Makamo's work. As you can see, the happy, confident faces of the children, the vibrant colors, the use of charcoal, and he has a unique mark-making technique that breaks scholarly rules and is very distinct. If you look up close, you can see it. In his own words, this is what Nelson Makamo says he'd like to achieve through his artwork. He says, "In my work, I reflect on the movement of culture amongst the youth living in and around the city. My observation is that there's an exchange between people where we adopt each other's cultures that are relevant to our respective ages. I am greatly fascinated by this and how we in turn manage our identity with different personas. Therefore, my work aims to show that we are always changing and moving in a path of self-discovery. My work does not represent a certain group of people. It moves across cultures and generations."
This is a short video of Nelson Makamo speaking about his method and motivation.
South Africa, my home, was the first place that inspired me. As someone who's been born, especially within the countryside of it, started my career in the city. It's a combination of both that sort of inspire me as well. And having to have the advantage of starting to travel, I think that has also made me to start appreciating, start to actually even to feel more proud to be South African. I represent the voice of young South African, not just South Africa as a whole, but also the continent as well. The things that they sort of experience on a day-to-day. And it's quite amazing because I think a lot of those experiences, when you start traveling, you realize that as human beings, we share a lot in commons. So that's part of the journey that I actually go through in terms of my work. So I just portray youth. I did study printmaking for 3 years, but I started falling in love with drawing. The last 6 years, my focus has always been about using the medium charcoal. As I started to get more and more exposed to it, and I started introducing acrylic, and from acrylic, I started painting. So I think it's also because of the choice of the subject that I've used in my work. It allows me to sort of now go and play around and explore with other mediums as well. I used to think inspiration will come from other artists, but I've realized all along it's always things that one encounter on a day-to-day, can from the news, can be from a song that you listen to, conversation that you had with people. That's how I sort of collect my materials. Normally don't plan what I'm gonna do when I walk into the studio. I always find it hard that when you plan something and then along the way, you find something interesting that will take you away from that. So I collect materials. When I walk into the studio, I put them on a collage. I don't usually do sketches. If I do sketches, it'll be completely different. So when I start a piece, I just go direct because then you apply those emotions without really restricting yourself. So I just pour my heart out. And as it goes, the piece will also direct me to where to take it. So that's how I actually start my process. It always fascinates you to know that, people who collect your work, the space where they're going to put it, because they get to live with the work every day. It's always something I always say, it's such a priceless feeling, knowing that there's someone out there who wakes up and look at your work every day. The symbol of glasses in my work is that, all human beings, we're unique. We are intelligent in our own unique way. It's always been a symbol. When you look at someone wearing glasses, you always feel like someone who reads a lot and all that. So in all the subjects that I picked, I always say that regardless of their background, they have their own genius way of approaching life. So yeah, that's a symbol of glasses in my work.
Makamo expresses his heritage in his artworks by painting people that he knows and is close to, and that they also usually share the same culture. And these paintings are mostly close-up portraits of Black children being depicted as being very expressive and playful. As you can see, the artwork titled Soulfully Youth on the right. Makamo also wants to do away with stereotypes of African children being shown as only victims of being in poverty and passiveness, and aims to show their truth and the vibrancy of youth. Makamo's use of monochromatic color is to provide people a lens into indigenous South African philosophy, something that is called Botho. And Botho is a cultural belief that calls on individuals to come together and to be more communal in their outlook, and thus to look out for each other. He also highly values spending his time constantly practicing in the studio. This reflects in his works by having a large number of paintings to choose from when deciding what to display at his exhibits. For art integration, Makamo's artwork can be used to introduce students to regional history outside of the United States by allowing students to research background information on his country of origin. Lessons can also be taught on the different geographical locations where Makamo has painted and exhibited at, allowing students to broaden their knowledge of the world. And students can pair and work with one another to pose and paint each other, which can be a great opportunity to build up teamwork and collaboration skills.
These are our responses to Makamo's work. I said that I was stunned at how beautiful and detailed Makamo's works are. I felt as if I could hear the children laughing, I could see them playing, I could feel their energy. And although his focus is on African children, I felt that his work transcended cultures, that happy, strong, confident children speak a universal language that we can all understand.
For my thoughts on Makamo's work is that I thought his use of charcoal to color and texture the painting was very pleasing to the eyes, and his use of bright and vibrant hues added much needed contrast to the painting and gives the viewer different things to focus on. In relation to my cultural background, South Africa and my country of origin, that being of Cambodia, is very similar in average age, and one that is fairly young. His use of using adolescent children as his models for painting speaks to how he represents a certain part of his country's demographic.
I thought that Makamo's work was extraordinary. I think it's amazing that he is working to change the perspective around the world that people have of African children, and he does this through his art, which is very empowering and powerful. I thought it was amazing what he said in an interview with Trevor Noah when he was asked how did he know he wanted to become an artist, and he said art has always been a part of me, which to me resembles how his art is made because he represents his people. Thank you everybody for watching. These are the sources.